All right, welcome back to the Sundials podcast. With me right now, our special guests today. I just asked them how would they like to be introduced, and they said they sound a bit like the Woolworths chats. So welcome to Violet Harlot, the Woolworths chats.
Cheers, Jeter. Thanks for having us on.
No sweat, man. You guys are great. I think So I guess this is we're playing in 4D right now because, I guess this Monday, you are coming on the Sundials acoustic residency or something like that
Couple of Mondays.
Yeah. But to them listening at home, it's this Monday.
Right, of course.
And your launch has already happened a little while ago. So how was that?
It was very successful.
Oh, excellent.
Oh, I think so.
I guess for everybody at home, like we're currently recording this the day right before Violet Harlot's big cool single launch at what is it?
Unibar?
I always get the names of venues confused. But so are you guys keen for that?
Yeah, definitely. It's Unibar's got to be our favourite venue because it's just got such a massive stage. Possibly one of the very few venues that actually has like a backstage area, so you feel like a legitimate rock star when you play there. But yeah, it's also a big venue, so you got to pull a lot of people to make sure the crowd looks good.
Yeah,
we've actually rehearsed this set as well. Like we got so used to just playing the same set over and over. We actually structured this one. Well, I'm nervous for it. The transitions between the songs and stuff.
Yeah, because we were talking about that. How a lot of sets, you can look at the songs, the covers, and you say, yeah, we'll do this song, this song, and then every band ever, they play a song and people clap, people cheer, and then they'll take a good 15 seconds to say, yep, and that song was that song, and you can stream it on Spotify, and this song is called this song, and it's about this, and let's get into it. And it's only 10 seconds, but that causes the audience's energy to dip a bit.
Yeah, of course.
And we would kind of compare it to how a DJ in a club would play. When they're about to go to that next song, they weave it in. They don't stop that music for a second because they want to keep the energy going.
Man, of course.
So we took some inspiration from King Gizzard, the way they perform a lot of their songs, and then we're we can try and stitch our songs together so we almost don't stop between our songs, and it just keeps the hype going.
Cool. Yeah, no, that's totally the way to do it. I think sometimes you do need a bit of a break so people can have a moment to clap and be like, that was cool. But I think with the Sundials, we have a couple of songs that cue on my vocals.
Oh yeah.
So the start of the song literally is just me saying a phrase, and then the band's like, all right, we're in, and we're into it. So literally we can finish our first song and then people are like, oh, but and they're clapping, and then I just say the phrase and the band's in. We're in straight into the next song. And because I think that shows a super tight band, and it looks so cool on stage when a band does that. Goes one song, weaves it into a medley, whatever, into the next song. That is really cool. Yeah, so I guess you'll be doing a bit of that tomorrow. I'm excited for it. I'm keen.
Yeah. Like Luke said, we've been rehearsing it a bit, and we've been workshopping. Oh, there's songs that we can just smash cut transition in, are they in the same key or something like that?
Yeah,
and
we categorize them into hard transitions and soft transitions.
Yeah.
What we do.
As in a hard transition is smack bang into it, but a soft transition, has a bit of maybe ring out on the cymbals, but he doesn't stop playing, and then just jumps into the next one. So
very cool. Well, I guess we can't unfortunately talk too much about yo, come along to that one because it'll have already happened. But I guess speaking of playing with time and stuff like that, we'll jump back to the very beginning. When did you guys start? How did you guys start? What's the origin story of your band?
It's a classic high school mates becoming bandmates story.
Very cool.
One thing I always say about this band is that God intended this band to be.
God's plan.
We all went to the same school, same year level, same friendship group, all played contrasting instruments, similar music tastes. What do you do then? You make a band.
Glue it all together. Yeah, that's awesome.
And we spent some time late 2020 first getting together. We were going through year 12 at the time, so it was pretty on and off. And then around the first quarter of that next year, I started, getting invested into the music scene and realizing, okay, there are actually bands in Adelaide.
Yeah.
Really, really good bands in Adelaide.
Yeah.
And then we started, writing songs, doing some covers, And then eventually I met a couple of folks from Molly Rocket, and at that time they'd only played about 2 gigs.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Oh, Will, you seem like a cool guy. You said you've got a band? Yeah, you guys should open for us."
Oh.
And boom, we got our first gig around September 2021.
Cool.
And we'd spent so much time practicing and just being locked in that band room that we just seemed to get some sort of like really good impression on our first gig, and then it kind of snowballed a bit. We just got offers here and there,
So how did that first show go? Was it like, were you terrified?
It was, I can definitely say I was terrified. How would you feel, Luke?
Yeah, that was like the only show we didn't do high vis for as well, because we hadn't got the idea for it yet.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, I wouldn't be surprised. I reckon Nathan might have mentioned it, but I think I shut him down because the lead singer ego kicked in. I was like, I'm gonna wear like the coolest clothes ever. And then it was the second gig, everyone showed up in high vis but me, and I was like, I'm looking like a bit of a dickhead here. And like the high vis under like UV lights just pops, and I was like, okay, high vis is what it is, man.
Cool. That's awesome, man.
But funny. Back on top of that first gig, that was in the dark ages where we couldn't dance.
Yeah.
And it was pretty rough, all seated down at, in broadcast bar. So there was, it was definitely packed out. Like I heard, like a lot of people had to be turned away at the door.
Cool.
But
a lot of people like on the floor as well. Like, it was like full.
Yeah, this was so weird. Like, I remember the broadcast ones, I feel like in particular was so weird because it was set up like a movie theater.
Yeah.
Just like a bunch of chairs and then just all facing the artist. It was just like...
Yeah, with like the school desks there.
So weird.
But yeah, despite that, the first gig actually went really well. There was a lot of energy in the crowd.
Cool.
A lot of folks that I'd met from like other bands at the time had came out to see us.
That's awesome.
And I think there was just a lot of hype about, I guess, kind of our debut.
Yeah, cool,
because then
man.
I think we came back to play broadcast about 2 weeks later, and we were on stage and we're looking out to the crowd, all seated down, and there was just no energy.
Oh,
I saw my mates, and they were kind of all just deadpanning me, not in a disrespectful way. It's just that, like, when you sit down at a punk rock gig,
man,
you can't get into it, man.
Yeah, it really did. That whole thing was just so weird. I think, like, I guess I kind of got lucky because I feel like, I don't know, man. It's weird for me to try to think about this, but I remember Ancient World. I feel like that was the first place that I remember hearing about, like, okay, there's stuff happening there and there's bands on there after, because I guess Crown and Anchor was like, nah, we're not even doing band shows. It's just all tables and chairs. And we heard about Ancient World, so I guess my band and I guess Christian, Sundials guitarist's band, The Moors, we used to play a lot at Ancient World, and I think, like, I don't know what deal was with seating was there, but I feel like it was kind of chill. Like the space or something like that kind of worked for it or something. It wasn't too bad.
Yeah, and plus Ancient World being just so tucked away. It's it's hard to be noticed when you're breaking COVID rules.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about that, but but yeah, like, I don't know, I can't remember. But yeah, it's weird. I don't know, man. The last like few years have been like a blur, I swear.
Oh man,
like COVID and all that stuff. But yeah. So I guess both your first gigs were all seated crowds and all that stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
When was the first one you got to do where it was standing?
Wow, that is actually hard to remember.
Yeah, I wouldn't know, because there were a couple like, they were like private functions or something.
Oh, they were cool. Yeah.
Basically, like there was some legislation saying, okay, dancing is allowed, but only for 50 people at a private function. So some folks at like the Metro figured out, okay, if we say these gigs are private functions and tickets are like your invitation, I guess it could kind of fly under the radar a bit. And
I remember that. It was so weird. Like that. Yeah, we've had such a bizarro time, and it's cool to be back, being able to just straight up do, let's go out to the city, let's go have a drink, let's go watch a show, da-da-da-da. Yeah, man. I completely forgot about all that stuff, honestly. Yeah, like, blacked that out.
Man.
Yeah, I was going through my camera roll from, like, just, like, 3 months ago. We started to wear masks on the bus.
Yeah.
That doesn't feel like 3 months ago. It feels
I
like
know.
way longer.
Wow. That's the dark days, dude. Like, just having your eyes closed and being like, oh, yeah, back then, like, in that evil time.
The dark ages, man.
Yeah,
but
sucks.
yeah, I reckon. I think I remember our first stand-up gig was at the time of those private functions. I remember chatting to Brian about it at Broadcast Bar, and yeah, that was kind of it was our first headlining gig, and first gig that I kind of like properly ever had to set up with like an online ticketing page, like Mosh Ticks and whatever. And yeah, I think it was Witch Hunt, Cultured Pigeons, and us.
Cool.
I think Luch was going to be on the lineup, but they might have cancelled. I don't remember, but I just remember being so excited being there at Broadcast and having like 50 people packed in there. I remember my mate Jonah, I just remember seeing just his glasses just reflect, and I'm like, I can see this guy in the crowd, and everyone's having a good time. And yeah, I truly can't believe like there was a period where we just couldn't dance because it was so rough for me to be on stage. And you know, when you're only singing, when you don't have an instrument on your hand to distract yourself, your eyes are like naturally on the crowd constantly.
So you can't see any of your friends because you're looking outwards. I totally get it, man.
And when your crowd's not moving, getting hyped, you're like, you don't have the energy to do it.
Dude. Yeah, so you guys you started off playing a lot of shows at Broadcast Bar, huh?
Yeah.
You guys play there much at all?
Can't remember the last time we played it. It was with like Loki and Newgate crowds.
Yeah,
like
it was a while ago.
Good couple months ago.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I feel like
might have even been Slingshot actually.
Oh, Slingshot, of course. How could I forget?
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I feel like with the Sundials, like Arthur Art Bar, I really appreciate Arthur as our stomping ground.
Oh yeah.
And so I think my thing right now is that like we're trying to book some bigger and better and cooler shows, and like maybe like, you know, reasonably priced like ticketed shows and stuff like that. But I kind of dig, you know, staying on like to quote a wise man, James Brown, like to stay on the scene like a sex machine, to be able to play like kind of smaller shows to people, but just like, oh yeah, what's going on tonight? Oh, this thing's on, Arthur Art Bar, and like, you know, just getting people into that venue, like really cheap or whatever it is, and yeah, I don't know. I guess that's trying to have it both ways, I guess, but whatever, I don't know.
No, I think it kind of plays into what you're talking about before we started about, you know, focusing on like selling out gigs, you know, because we'd been discussing this as a band about like, you know, well, you know, we like playing Unibar, it's such a great venue, but that's 500 capacity. There's no way we are selling 500 tickets to one of our gigs. But like, you know, if we did like a single launch, EP launch, one of those bigger shows, at somewhere like maybe Jive or Arthur, where the capacity is around, you know, 150 to 200, bigger, it could possibly, you know, sell out. And you mentioned earlier, that just looks great on a resume.
It's so funny, man. I think resumes and like quote unquote looking good on paper, it really is such a farce, but it does look good on paper and you really can use that. I guess what I was saying before, just for our dear listeners at home, is like when it became evident that we were going to have like the coolest lineup for the Sundial single launch, what is it? It's the 24th of March, Friday, 2023. Hell yeah. At Crown and Anchor with these fine gentlemen next to me and all that stuff. But when it became apparent that we were going to have a great lineup, I thought about like, maybe we could move this across to like Drive or something like that. And we wouldn't sell it out, but we'd make more money, more people would come in for it. But I guess, I don't know, we ended up not doing that because we would have lost a lot of our lineup and all that stuff. But yeah, I think there's something too as well. Just keeping it like medium-sized and selling out can look pretty good. And I think the Sundials are eventually, maybe in the next few months, are going to look at, booking maybe Melbourne, stuff like that. And having that on a bit of paper, you know, does look kind of cool. So, yeah, I don't know. I think, selling out is pretty... Like there are certain places where it is quite an attainable thing, you know. Yeah.
Like, because that's when we did our first single launch for Demon Girl last September, correct? Yeah. We did it at the Daily Grind, like a skate shop on Gilbert Street. They've got because it's not your average skate shop. It's like basically a repurposed warehouse with a whole half pipe in the back. Yeah. You set up the bands on the ramp.
Dude, that's mad.
And it was really cool. The capacity was around like 100 or 120, so it sold out, which was great. But also at the same time, it was like I had so many people DMing me like, no, Will, surely there's tickets on the door, and it's rough to turn people away. But also like I guess selling out a show.
Then you got your sellout show. That's all that matters. You put down a bit of paper, but in that case, I feel like just smoking if you got them. If you get like the bigger venues, just get cool artists on. Open those doors up and just let as many people as you can get in. I think. Yeah, I guess I was saying before that, like, Sundials, for me, Mum's favourite was saying that they kind of don't, it's actually something really kind of profound, basically. She was like, I wish I knew in advance, like, before starting a band, that, like, the bigger you get, the more you get into it, the more you put into it, sort of the less it comes about music. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, damn, dude, that's real. Like, that's
Yeah, dude.
Definitely.
But it really is like that. Be it like social media posts, be it managing, be it be
Getting
it
an
like
ABN, having to do a tax return.
dude,
Like,
don't
bro,
even
we're
get
not
me
earning enough
started on
money to
that,
call
man.
ourselves a business.
Oh, dude, I hate that. I was literally talking to the other guys last week about that, and I just like, ugh, I don't have it. I'm just terrified. Like it's like Minesweeper. Like I'm terrified I'm gonna click the wrong button
And then-
the Sundials like next year. It's like the Sundials owe $10,000 in tax, and it's like what? What do you mean? So
We haven't even
like,
gotten $10,000
I
of
know,
revenue,
man.
bro.
I didn't even know about like any of that stuff. I'm trying to learn it, but yeah, I guess I'm trying to learn it and stuff like that. I kind of like, I sort of like the vibe of how the Sundials are going right now. Like I like being big band, like big money moves, man. Like,
Yeah.
it's kind of cool. Like selling t-shirts, just being like, ha ha ha,
Yeah.
money for nothing, and all that stuff. And yeah, trying to organize like cool shows elsewhere and thinking outside of the box too. I like the idea of that kind of skate shop thing. It's just like, yeah, anything that is cool and a bit of an adventure, I'm super into, you know.
Yeah. A mate of ours, Lockie Searles, got us that gig because at the time we were, of course, saying, oh, yeah, Unibar, that's the spot to do
Yeah,
single
yeah.
launch. But they were all booked out at the time, and we'd been waiting D Miguel was our first ever single. We had
Yeah.
been waiting so long to get music out, where we were not going to push back this
Yeah.
date
Yeah,
just
yeah.
to get this venue.
yeah,
So
yeah.
then we wanted to make sure whatever venue we got was all ages, and you know, so that kind of locked out Cranker and Jive and whatnot. And then a lot of other venues were just ghosting us, not responding to our
Yeah,
enough emails.
yeah.
And then
That
Lockie was
sucks.
like, let's try Daily Grind. And we were a bit like apprehensive about
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
but it worked out really, really well.
Yeah, but yeah, I guess for anybody listening at home that is like kind of starting a band or something like that, that is some cool advice. Like keeping it super grassroots, you know. Like I love that stuff. Like I think my last band, the D Major Mystery Band, we once played a show in a warehouse, and that was just like a warehouse show. That's so
Yeah.
cool, you know. And I'm sure for the guys setting up, they'll probably like, oh, you know, it's not Unibar, it's not the Crown and Anchor, it's not Jive, but it's like going to a warehouse for a gig. That's so cool, you
It
know.
doesn't happen every week.
Yeah,
man.
absolutely. And I think that's the same. I think I remember hearing about that gig, and I was like, yo, that's cool. Like, I want to go to that. I guess I probably had work. I was just saying I keep missing out on cool shows because just I work. I'm a real ass like.
Stop making excuses, man.
I know. Oh, killing the dog and the boys, dude. Can't believe it. No, I think yeah. I guess last week I gave most of the like half the dainty morsels like jobs at my work. Like I kind of got them in the door, and so they went across to Melbourne, and I just had to like cover their shifts while they were in Melbourne all weekend. So I was like just working like flat out. So, but doing it for the boys. You
On
know?
the grind, man.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
well, as you were saying, just like, you know, the bigger you become, the more kind of business oriented you have to be.
Yeah.
It's mixed feelings with me. Sometimes it can be a real chore and real, you know, kind of just daunting. But there are also times where it's really shocking. I'll be responding to emails, sending out invoices, right? And I don't actually mind it. Like, it's a bit of a chore. But when I see that, like, my efforts, I like, no, I'm doing this because I want this band to grow.
Yeah,
I have
yeah.
dreams of this band growing. I'm not getting paid a cent to do this,
yeah.
but it's like fulfilling work. So I guess, like, you know, you got to make sure you're really keen to see the
Yeah.
band grow if you want to do that.
Absolutely. Yeah, man. I think I'm kind of keen with the Sundials to. I said before at a different episode that like running a band is a bit like running a proper business with like tutorial mode on. Like you get to take it easier because you don't have to like worry about like balancing like, oh, I got to pay the band members, got to do this, got to do that. Like, are we making enough income to pay everybody? It's like all the money that you kind of get, depending on how you want to run the band. For us, and I guess for you guys too, it sounds like it all kind of goes back into like a band
Into the
fund and
band
stuff
fund,
like that.
you know.
That's the best way to do it, I think, because otherwise you end up just getting a couple extra drinks in a weekend and then you just don't have any money.
$100 pay by 5 people.
Yeah, you split it on like 3 beers each, and then you're just like, damn,
Wow.
I don't have any money. But yeah, no. So business and like running a business on tutorial, like you can just kind of take it easy and do it at your own pace and stuff like that. And I guess the ABN stuff does get a bit like ooh with that, but like you don't have like because you're just kind of saving in money. You don't have to. Oh, man, I don't know what I was saying, but whatever. But it probably would have been a great point if I remembered it, but I don't. So
Yeah,
nice.
no. Like we're lucky we got a mate whose dad's like an accountant,
that's
right? So he
tight.
kind of helps us out and
Yeah.
gives us a little bit of advice here and there. So it's definitely if you know anyone who's got like a mild
Yeah.
knowledge of accounting or tax and whatnot, just like
Yeah.
ask them for a bit of help and
That's
whatnot.
very clever. I hadn't really considered that.
Yeah, it's like the shows that we set up, like we had to like keep a record of like we just had like all the money that we got from the gig, like we had that recorded, but then we didn't record like paying the other bands. Like, we had to like actually like have a record of every detail.
The Vintage Vibes Festival just coming up. That looks so cool. How did that come about?
Yeah, it's all about who you know, man. Connections, man.
Yeah, apparently.
It's almost a little bit embarrassing to talk about, but Bailey, our bassist and flautist, his dad was good mates with gentleman Blake Gilchrist, who runs Everyday People, who kind of like brought about the whole festival. And we had a meeting with him, and when you say business meeting in the music world, you mean having a beer at the Exeter.
Yeah, very cool.
And he kind of said, like, he listened to us because, you know, we're mates with his, he knows us, but like he picked us because, you know, we're a legit band who's got a fan base, who's got good music
and an image and all that stuff.
Yeah. So it's like it was just a reminder that like everything in the music world and possibly like creative industries in general is about who you know.
Yeah.
And like and every time I bring up Vintage Vibes, it's like, dude, Mum's favorite, Molly Rocket, Lola, they should have got this gig, not us, man. But it's just all about who you know and like the magic of connections in the music world, man.
That's great, man. I think that's like to just say like, oh yeah, just like, you know, like happen to know someone like that kind of undersells it, I think, because like it's like if you guys weren't a good band, it would have just been like maybe not these guys, but like because it's like we need a cool band, you know, from Adelaide or something like that to jump on this lineup. Who have we got? And it's like, oh, these guys are great. They're like life of the party. Let's get them in. And I think like, yeah, it is such a funny thing, man. Like it's something that like I wondered about for a long time in the last thing I was in, where I felt like I was the only person in that band that was really trying to push the envelope, and everybody else was kind of just like, yeah, this is kind of cool. Mm-hmm. And but I was always wondering, like, how is like band growth and bigger shows and like how do you go about doing this kind of stuff? I didn't get it, but I think now it's like I'm trying to take in all I can get and learn from it, and then also grow connections. And I think back when in the last band I was like barely going out to shows. I was like going on my own shows and then like not going out. But I think like getting out on the scene, meeting new people. I think like building connections is a funny one as far as like certain connections, like, you know, you might luck out and have someone that knows someone who is like really high up and stuff like that. But I guess my philosophy there is like smoke 'em if you got 'em. You know, if you know someone, or if you have a family member, if you were starting a band and you had someone in your school that you didn't even really know or like that much, but you knew that their parent was like involved in like some big thing, some big music thing, I would probably like try to make friends with that person, like try to get in there with them and then like try to use that. It all sounds very like
ulterior motive.
Yeah, evil. But like I just think like whatever, like for me the goal is to have like the funnest time possible, and if you can have a really fun time at Vintage Vibes, like fuck it, get out there, you know, like find the way. But yeah, that's gonna be cool as man. I think I don't know, you guys seem like you're doing a lot of cool stuff. But I guess on back to what we started with, the whole 4D thing, quickly, what was your favorite thing or the most exciting thing for you guys from 2022?
Dude, it was a bloody like core memory unlocked in my brain. We're standing there at bloody on the ramp at Daily Grind for the Demon Girl launch. It's pitch black because for some reason the guys who were running it thought it would look cool if it was all dark. But and there's this packed crowd, and we start up Demon Girl, and the crowd roars, man.
Hell yeah.
Fucking roars, you know.
Mad.
People are always passionate at shows. They cheer, they get excited, but this was a rock star crowd yell. I don't think I'd ever had a crowd that excited my entire life over a song, and just knowing that we cooked up that song just over like a year prior. A year prior, I was minding my own business. I was sick, so I wasn't able to come to rehearsal. These guys send me a jam that they were working on. I start writing lyrics. I was listening to Demon's Eye by Deep Purple. I'm like, it's Demon Girl, you know? And just the fact that, you know, in just a little over 12 months, there are friends, acquaintances, and strangers that would just go berserk over the, awesome stuff that me and my mates have cooked up. Yeah. It was just really surreal, man.
I love those full circle moments, you know, where it all comes back around and it's like, damn, here we are. Like, I don't know, a month later, a year later, whatever it is, where just like, yeah, you can think back exactly to the moment that, like, I don't know, this thing was coming about or whatever it was, and then you're at the fruits of your labor, and you're like, damn, here we are, this is great.
Yeah, even like building on that, like the song was even just, I think Bailey just thought of it in the shower,
In
like
the shower,
like 20 minutes before rehearsal even.
Cool.
And like, yeah, there were times like our first couple gigs that like Demon Girl was like third on our set, and it's tough to imagine a time where we were not playing Demon Girl at the end of our set because that was just the song that everyone got into.
Yeah, far out. I don't know. On that, it is kind of funny. Like the music that I don't know with you guys, but there are like some songs that I really like, and I feel like either the rest of the band isn't super hot on them, or the audience likes other stuff way more. And I'm kind of like, yeah, I don't know. I guess there's some songs we've been playing for a long time, or I've been playing for a long time, and some songs that are kind of new. I tend to like the newer stuff more. I think with Vegas in my band in this case, but yeah. What do you guys think about that? With like, are there any songs that you really like in your lineup that you feel like are kind of underrated?
Oh,
I feel like it'd be different for each of us.
It would
'cause,
be different
Yeah,
to
we
each
all
of
kind of
us.
skew in different directions a little bit.
yeah.
But, like, yeah.
I'm a huge fan of their song "War for the Red Hypergiant." It's a like 9-minute instrumental prog rock sci-fi epic,
Tight.
and I like it because I remember when they would jam on it, and it was at the 6-minute mark. I was like, I'm not gonna risk messing up this song by writing a mediocre vocal part, so I hopped on the tambourine, cowbell, and shakers,
Cool.
and added some percussion. And because of that, I kind of have the insight, the perspective of almost an audience member to the guys.
Yeah,
So I
cool.
always really push for that song because I know it's a really important, like, without being wankerish, a show off song for these guys to
Yeah,
show how
it's a flex
skilled
song.
musicians they are.
Yeah.
And I remember when we played it the first couple times, I'd freak out because I look out to the crowd and no one's really moshing, because who moshes to a 9-minute
Yeah,
song?
yeah.
But then everyone gave nothing but great feedback.
Yeah.
And so, but it's sometimes kind of maybe a bit underrated amongst the bandmates because they're like, does anyone really want to listen to our 9-minute song?
Yeah.
And I'm just always I always like really press them. Yes, they do. I was mildly disappointed because at Vintage Vibes, being, you know, like one of the smallest bands on there, we only have a 20-minute set. And I was like, if we had a 30 or 40-minute set, I would
Yeah.
love to put Hypergiant in there, but
Yeah.
it just chews up too much of
Do
our time.
like 2 songs in the whole set.
Yeah.
That'd be funny.
What do you think, Luke?
About Hypergiant? Or
About just like, is there a song that you reckon is like underrated?
I mean, I think a song that's overrated is Chips, honestly. I did most of that in one night.
This is the
It's
one that
like,
he wrote, and of course he's gonna say it's overrated.
I'm just so shocked that like is as popular as it is.
It's so easy to get around. It's simple. It's relatable. Have you met a single person who does not like chips?
You know, I haven't actually. So,
Exactly, man.
damn.
Yeah, I was like, a lot of the inspiration was from like a comedy group called Auntie Donna.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they had this like they have a podcast and they did like a musical for the podcast. Like they just improvised a musical, and there was a section just about going to the shops.
Tight.
I basically stole that concept.
Tight. Good enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool, man. Yeah, sweet. I'm gonna keep that in mind because I'll be there tomorrow night. I'm keen to just vibe, and I guess you guys are doing your 9-minute spectacular.
I don't believe we are.
no.
No.
Nah, not tomorrow.
Damn. Next time.
Next time.
That'd be cool though. Yeah, I'm always, I don't know, I like the idea of just kind of pushing the envelope a little bit with like, I don't know, a band type or band sound. Like I think the Sundials, we got a Daisy, a saxophonist in now.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of keen to just kind of do like a Sundials too, like to just kind of not rework the band, but just like start incorporating like new and different stuff in there. And just, I think you always got to be like pushing, not yourself, maybe yourself, but like trying to go to the next level or try to figure out something new and cool and all that stuff. So I guess we're going to be doing that with the Sundials. Stay tuned, audience. It's going to be very cool. All right. I guess we are heading into the late phase, the end game of this podcast now. Tell me, so we talked about 2022, and that does sound really cool. What are you most excited for in 2023? Do you have any like big dreams or goals that you're shooting at or things coming up?
It's kind of vague, and that's exciting, but also mildly scary because I always had a plan in mind when we started to be like, yeah, we'll write a bunch of songs, we'll play a bunch of gigs, and then we'll therefore get tons of fans, rinse and
Yeah.
repeat. And now we've gotten to the point where we've gotten the opportunity to be on Vintage Vibes, and also 1 week after our single launch, we're going to be opening for Surf Trash, a group from Melbourne.
Yeah.
And so it's got to the point where we've got a couple of, well, I'm not going to act like it's a frequent thing. We've got some pretty exciting
Yeah.
opportunities. And we've wanted to, I guess, be a bit more selective with our gigs,
Yeah.
everyone except for myself is going through their last year of uni. So
Wow.
it's like we're going to be doing less gigs. I'm kind of scared about losing traction.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And but yeah, this next step in terms of growing as a band is very vague, and so it's exciting because you don't know what's going to happen, but it's scary because you can't really plan. Like we were chatting to Blake Gilchrist, the guy from Vintage Vibes, and he said that like this next step we can't really force. You know, Luke and I would be going back and forth with ideas about like, should we get into social media advertising? What else can we do to get our name out there apart from just playing a bunch of gigs? And here comes this like music industry professional saying, you can't really force it, and that was
Yeah.
just kind of rough.
Yeah, interesting. I guess if I can lend any perspective with my little tiny ass baby band, I think like I think for us, what was I gonna say? I think like on one part, like not forcing things and doing things naturally, like to kind of help us get known a little bit more before our debut single. Like this podcast is part of that. Like I felt like, I mean, a friend had joked that I talked a lot, and so he was like, "You be at a podcast," and I was like, "Yeah, okay, sure, I'll try that." And yeah, the other thing, oh yeah, like so one of our band members, Christian, bought a house. So like, and so he's got like a mortgage now basically.
Right.
So like he's got to be working like all the weeks and he's got the weekends off. So it kind of limits. Like he can do like a crank a Wednesday, you know, just get like a bad sleep at night and stuff like that. But it means we have to like really strategize when we've got 6 people now as well. So we've got to strategize when, who's available, and what can we do, what can we can't do, and I think yeah, like I think the best thing to do for a band is just everyone is firing full steam, of course, but like basically in lieu of that, like me as Dieter Horvat, band extraordinaire, professional man, like whatever manager, like I basically just strategizing, you know, like it's really trying to figure out like the like, I guess the Sundials are now booking like, I don't know, like almost 6 months in advance now, like to really like, oh, Daisy's going away for a month in July, like, or June. It's like, oh, okay, so, and, you know, da-da-da, like, what can we do to maximize or like do really cool in like July or something like that? It's just, it seems so far off, but then like you blink and
It's
suddenly
there,
it's like
man.
to September
Yeah,
2023, and you're like, what happened?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
we've been feeling that recently because yeah, we've kind of got like up until maybe June planned.
June, yeah.
So like after that, it's a complete mystery for us. But up until June, we've got like stuff planned, and then we get gig offers like for like 1 week or 2 weeks in advance, and
Yeah,
we feel
yeah.
terrible having to turn them down.
Yeah, man.
I feel like those always come about. Like I always, I think I like to play as many gigs as I can. I think I'm always excited to do that kind of stuff. But I think like booking in advance, and like I was gonna say that you guys could probably like almost hit up the Gov and be like, yeah, with Violet Harlot, we're gonna do like a little festival for our EP launch in a good few months. When have you got available? And they'll be like, oh, sweet. And then just be like, yeah, we got like all these sick acts on it. And then you go like, fuck, we gotta get an EP done. We gotta get some sick acts. And you guys could do that, and it would be fucking dope,
Yeah.
I'm sure, you know. But yeah, so it's like on one hand, I love the short notice shows. I find that they can be harder to like really make work unless a band is falling off of a lineup and it's all booked and well done, and you can jump onto it and you kind of coast and it's like, oh, this is sick, like great crowd, like we brought our people in and all that stuff. But I think more often than not, the smaller shows that sometimes I've played have been those kind of like real short notice ones. And so I think like if you can do those small ones or like the short notice ones, do them, because hell yeah. But if you can't, like it's unfortunate saying no to a show, but like, you know, it is what it is, I
Yeah,
think.
man. And it's like, I noticed that it's usually some more of those, I guess, like last minute gigs and those smaller shows, we get contacted by like bands of like, you know, 16, 17-year-olds. And they're great because, you know, their fans have never seen us before.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
we also recently played at the, one of the Neo events at the Art Gallery. And that's a youth event
Oh,
for like
cool.
13, 17-year-olds. And that crowd was like insane. I'd never seen
yeah.
like a more hyped up crowd
Dude,
of
it's
folks
so funny, man.
who weren't really like into
Yeah.
Violet Harlot before. So
Yeah.
we like feel bad turning them down because, you know, these younger folks have really got our back.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, we
These
just got to
young
find
crowds
that
are
balance.
crazy, man.
Yeah, and like we were in their position as well. Like
Exactly.
because
yeah.
we got super lucky because you basically carried us to get that Molly Rocket gig, and then after that we just got lucky with all the gig offers we got. So we like feel for them. Like they're contacting us. They're doing what we would have done.
Yeah, like it's tough to get into the gig scene. Surely, as the big brothers, we got to help them out.
Absolutely. That's really cool, man. I think if you can't make it, you can't do it. Then the best you can do is be like, oh, look, sorry guys, like you guys sound sick, but we can't, because like I feel like the worst thing is when you hit up a band, they just don't get back to you. It feels like they roll their eyes at you.
Oh, when you get left on red, especially if you know someone in the band personally, because you're like, oh, do these guys not like us as much as I thought they did?
Yeah, it just cuts deep when that happens, man. Yeah, I guess generally I try to hit the person back up and be like, nah, look, or shoot him even like a band that could go on the lineup.
Yeah,
and stuff
just
like that.
making their job a little bit easier, giving them a recommendation.
Because that stuff, not only it's still obviously hard for you guys and me and all that stuff, like doing that. And so it's like cool to make it as easy as possible for somebody who's just starting to do that, because they could be like hit you guys up, and if you guys didn't get back to them, they'd just be like, no, I'm not being in a band anymore. This sucks. This is too hard. And they're like, I quit. And you don't want that. But anyway, I think we are heading towards truly. I said like literally like 10 minutes ago we are gonna play this, but screw it, man. It's fun talking. But so yes. We talked about like generally 2023, what's cool coming up, but what do you guys have immediately coming up?
Well, there's all like the single launch that would have happened that would have been released, but yeah, a handful of singles coming out throughout June, and then just post June honestly is a big grey area. We're not too sure.
Cool.
Like we find that balance of like we want to accept gigs or take on gigs, but we would like to keep the calendar free in case there's some really special gigs that we don't want to turn down.
Yeah, I don't know. To me, it's a balance. I think like anyone that books you guys, you almost have to know that like if something big did come up, you kind of have to say yes to that big thing.
Yeah.
If you're like a festival lineup, it's like, well, like if everybody in Adelaide in this small community wants to see other people succeed, you kind of got to go like, yeah, those people that I'm going to have on the show, they've just got an opportunity to play like a huge gig.
Yeah.
Let them go do that.
When you climb the ladder, you kind of have to leave some behind.
Of course,
not in like
not in a
not an
rude
apathetic way. Yeah, because
it's like
I remember,
booster rocket,
yeah, we booked Molly Rocket to have a show with us at Enigma Bar a couple months ago, and it was doing great. But we just both of our bands had some big local shows before then, so the Enigma Bar show didn't have a lot of tickets, and I felt mildly bad because this is an act that works with Select Music, a proper booking agency.
Yeah.
Who knows, if they could have had a really big offer and we were kind of taking up their space.
Yeah.
That's how it feels like.
Yeah, but again, like I said, like sometimes there might be nothing on the weekend and you get like a gig offer for a show in on the week and you're like, oh, sweet, cool, do that. Sometimes you get an offer like 3 months in advance, but it happens that like you already know that you're playing a huge show 3 months in advance. So you go like, oh, we're actually playing like the week before that. We kind of can't like clash and up emotions, and it's like, but it is just what it is, man. It's how it happens. But anyway, that said, so I guess you guys have your single launch coming up that's already happened, but I'm excited for it tomorrow. And then so you guys will be playing on the Sundials' Monday acoustic residency on, I think it's the 27th.
27th, yes.
Yes, which is this Monday coming up. Yes, so that's going to be cool. That's going to be fun. The last one that we did went really well. Like, I was actually kind of nervous about it. I was nervous, like, how many people can we fit in this front bar, da-da-da-da. But, like, when you get, like, a bass guitar and some kind of percussion and the acoustic guitars, it sounds like Nirvana Live and Unplugged. No matter what you do. I love that sound. So it all sounded great. It was great. So I'm keen to do more of them. But,
yeah, we've got a bit of work on our set because I've done a little bit of, like, acoustic stuff by myself. But so I'm kind of trying to incorporate that in the Violet Harlot set. But we need spend a solid rehearsal day, like realizing what are we actually going to do, which sounds horrible if this podcast is going to be played the day before.
Yeah, it's a mystery, guys. We have to wait and see. But no, dude, like straight up, the Sundials didn't get a rehearsal for our first one, and it got onto the day of, and we were like, wait, who's going to be there? And then and I was like, oh damn it! So I quickly wrote a set list, and basically we just played our current Sundial set list with the acoustics, like 2 acoustic guitars instead of electrics. And instead of a drum kit, we had like a cajon, and Lauren with Dainty Morsels, she played bongos. And it was just like great, and it sounded beautiful, and it was excellent. Anyway, I hate to love you and leave you, gentlemen, but I think we have to wrap this podcast up now. Catch the Sundials whenever we're playing next, but also particularly catch the Sundials at the I'm Down debut single launch at the Crown and Anchor with these lovely gentlemen on Friday, March 24. I always get that wrong for some reason. I don't know why it's so hard to remember. And yeah, we love you guys. We love you guys. We love you guys. Do you have anything to plug? If this comes out around like that late February, like
Then yeah. Please keep streaming our songs. No, we've got our next single, Footy Mad, should be coming around the middle of March. Hopefully that's not too early of an announcement for that.
no, that's
Because
cool.
we've got something
That's
right,
kinda
should we,
abstract,
right?
yeah, right on.
We haven't announced that yet.
No, we haven't. But if this is going to go to air,
Yeah.
Yeah, you were thinking about it's 4D. It's
exactly,
great. 4D
4D,
chess.
man. But yeah, definitely check us out on socials, violet.harlot. We've started using TikTok, violet_harlot, because someone took the dot. But yeah, no, we appreciate you having us on, DJ.
Nah, no
This is
sweat,
actually a
man.
really cool setup and just a pretty fun experience,
Yeah,
man.
no, I like having a gas bag, and so it's always cool to just sit and chat and shoot the shit and figure out what other bands, what's working, what's not working, what are they up to, da da da. It's I like doing this. I think we were gonna only do 4, but like I kind of like this, so we might do more.
Honestly, would not mind if I came back on it again.
Yes, look, we might have to in future. We got a lot to talk about. Apparently, we can just keep going. We run this for like another hour, but we won't. We'll leave you guys to it. Thanks for coming on. Sundials, follow Sundials too. Yeehaw, we love you guys.